how is your Wednesday treating you?
Scott, you're too cute. Guys, go easy on me. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me during this webinar. Anyway, welcome guys. Welcome to our Wednesday Q&A. We've got a lot of good stuff to talk about. There's a new beta that's been released, and so you guys can download that. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the new features that are in that particular beta, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the upcoming functionality that we're going to be adding to the software. Of course, I'll answer any questions that you guys may have. I'm not going to really give you my opinion on stocks unless it's something that I own. I'll be more than happy to tell you that, but I'm not really an analysis guy. I'm not going to really kind of sit and go through all these different stocks and tell you how I feel about it. You know, our software, it's really a premier idea generation piece of technology. Ultimately, it's going to be up to you whether to decide to buy or sell a particular security. But what we're going to do is we're going to highlight with our software things that are happening in the market, things that are very interesting, things that you should take a look at, and perhaps buy or sell to try to make some money in the market. So let's just start off here. I got a tiny little slide deck. It's just a couple slides, but primarily we are not a registered investment advisor. We are a technology company. We create technology. I mean, we're going on almost 20 years now. I think it'll be 20 years in development this coming November, and 19 out in the market. So we've been doing this for quite some time. We've spent all this time really enhancing and adding to the product. But suffice to say, we are not a registered investment advisor. I'm not going to give you investment tips. There may be some ideas, but you're going to have to vet those out yourself. We have made the Inc. 5000 for the 4th time in a row. It's a pretty big accomplishment. We're pretty proud of that, and we don't see us stopping anytime soon. We have an incredible growth in our company. We've got an incredible pipeline of features and functionality that we have yet to release yet that is scheduled to do so. So we're super excited about the future, and there's no stopping, there's no finish line the way that we see it here at Trade Ideas. It's just about creating and making the best idea generation software on the market. So let me just go ahead and close the presentation. I'm going to dive right into the software. I don't want to move that. I want to move this guy right here. So I didn't quite catch how many of you guys were subscribers or not. I'm going to give a little bit of a high level presentation on what we do here at Trade Ideas, how you can get started right away using our software without really knowing a whole lot about it. We've created a channel bar. We've created kind of a remote control to the market, and you can launch that right up from the new option here on the toolbar. And we have a docked channel bar and a regular channel bar. I suggest launching the docked one. It keeps everything nice and a nice compact environment that you can move around. This is a docked environment where they're all connected, if you will. My channel bar is over here on the left. Like I said, this is your remote control to the market. And what we've done is we've created a bunch of different pre-configured workspaces for you. Some are different strategies, some are looking at different symbol groups of stocks, and some are looking at different price action. So you can just really scroll down and see all the different ideas and channels that we've created, and they all have a little bit of a different flair. If I can go to the pre-market channel, you just select it. It'll load up all the component windows for you. We have a variety of different visualization windows, whether it's an alert window, a top list, a chart, a single stock window that's got news, similar stocks to it, as well as a company profile. So there's a lot of in-depth data that you can get from these various windows here. So you can see here that my channel bar is indicating that I'm in that pre-market channel, letting me know what stocks are, and this is where I would go at the beginning of the day, letting me know what stocks are gapping up, what stocks are gapping down. I would get that from these two top lists down at the bottom. And then I've got this streaming window in the upper left-hand corner that's looking at stocks that have some activity, something's happening that's significant or interesting or worth note in the pre-market. So your streaming window, your list of stocks, everything is really interactive. Right here, we've got these sorted on the gap. I mean, obviously, we're trying to see what stocks are gapping up. This is looking at the percentage. If I wanted to, I don't know why I'd want to do that, but if I wanted to sort it on, say, the gap on a dollar perspective, I can do that too. Maybe I want to just look at this window instead of looking at the full. And even though these are pre-configured channels, you can right-click in any of these, go to configure, and maybe something that I want to do is just go to my filters, and I just want to look at stocks in a certain price range. Right now, I'm just looking at everything that has a minimum price of $1, but maybe I'm just interested in stocks between $5 and $10, I could really narrow down the universe of stocks that are going to fill this particular gap list here. Now, everything that I'm going to be looking at is just within that price range. Definitely makes more sense to look at the percentage, just because it's not taking an exact absolute look at the dollars. It's really taking a relative gap compared to the price of the stock. So yeah, like I said, everything is interactive here. If you're looking at the multi-strategy window up here, everything is right-click, context sensitive. So I could right-click and hover over that strategies and see in this one window, I've got 4 different strategies all looking at different things. So if you're unsure of what's happening in a particular window and it's a multi-strategy, you can just go ahead and hover over that strategies area and take a look at the different strategies that we have. If you really want to roll your sleeves up and dive right in, you could go right into the configure menu and see exactly how each one of these is configured. And just like that top list where you can change your pricing or your different universe that you're looking at, you can do the same thing here. Once you've made your adjustments, once you've saved it, or once you've got it all situated the way that you want, you could go ahead and save it to the cloud. You could also add it to your channel bar here. So in a dock channel bar, if you just left click on this icon here for the dock, you've got some options here, and you can edit those custom channels right here where you can go ahead and modify what you have. You can have up to 5 different custom channels, and those channels can be an entire workspace. It could be a single window that you use quite a bit, or it could just be a couple different windows. Like for instance, I've got this climactics right here. If I select it, it's going to go ahead and, well, it's going to remove that previous channel that I was looking at. It's going to look at this climactics that I have in my own portfolio of channels. And this is one that I built. It's a multi-strategy. It's got 2 alert windows, and I've got 2 charts. So, that's just something that you can do with the channel bar to customize it to your liking. So I'll go ahead and close that. I really actually wasn't ready to get out of the channel bar, so let me go ahead and load it back up here. So that's the dock channel bar, and like I said, you can just scroll down and peruse. I really like the Alpha Predator channel. It's a great channel to find stocks that are really moving out of their particular norm, and regardless of what's happening in the overall broader market. So you're always finding some great movers there. This momentum channel, pretty interesting. If I kind of came at this trading game, started as a day trader. Really, I'm not much of a day trader anymore, although I dabble a little bit. But this momentum channel here really has a variety of nice indicators and alerts that let you know what stocks are really lighting up and moving in a big way. So like for instance, this guy just triggered at the close. I'm sure it triggered earlier in the day, but there are just some great opportunities that will present themselves through the momentum channel. So, I mean, that's a pretty good move right there. As we scroll down a little bit more, touch a little bit on the Alpha Predator. I want to show you a particular window here that is interesting. Actually, I don't think it's in, well, the Alpha Predator is one that I actually keep this particular window in my own workspace. So if I move the dock out of the way, this is my own workspace that I typically use. My custom layout for my monitor 1 is this one here, and I've got another dock on my other monitor, but this Alpha Predator is one that I like so much, I just incorporated it into my main layout, and you can do that as well. And if you right click on a particular window that you like, you can always duplicate it. I like duplicating into free floating, so you do that, and then you've got yourself a free floating window, and you can do anything you want once it's a free floating window. You can drop it if you right click back in that particular window. You could go ahead and you could duplicate it into a dock, or you could throw it back into one of the other docks that you have. So I just like manipulating stuff in a free floating mode and then moving it over into a dock after I've got it situated the way that I want it. So that really wasn't the channel I wanted to show you. There's one more that I'm going to just touch on real quick here, experts only. So experts only, it has a couple of top lists in it that are really non-standard. It's like that top list, that we were looking at earlier with the gaps. You can do some really interesting things. You can look at, standard stuff. You can look at stocks that are up the most for the week, the month, the year, the day. Or you can do something, or even down the most for those time periods. But here we've got some really cool stuff where we're doing some pullbacks on the big winners. So this top list right here is full of stocks that are really up big, but they're pulling back at this present time. And the same thing in the bounces on the losers. So these guys here are down really big. You can see by the change from the close percentage right here, but they're performing a little bit of a bounce at the time. Maybe that's an opportunity to get short. Maybe it's a turnaround. You know, again, it's up to you to decide that. And also that will, you know, be premised on what's going on in the overall market as well, how you want to approach something like that. So I think that the takeaway here is there's some really great ideas that we've put together in these channel workspaces here. So at your leisure, just go through and take a look at what we've got. You might find something that's super interesting for your style of trading and what you're looking for, and you can always incorporate that into your own workspace. You know, like I said, and this is what I have for my main workspace, and it's really kind of a hodgepodge of borrowed windows from these various channels that we have. This data stream, it's a multi-strategy window that's like on steroids. It has you know, 20 different strategies that I'm looking at all the time. If I wanted to turn one off because it's too noisy or it's not giving me the look that I'm desiring, I can just uncheck it and that particular strategy won't go through. Or if you want to modify it, you can do that. I've got this other great window here that's looking for the most upward momentum right now. It's taking a look at stocks that are making all the highs for the day, but instead of just giving me like a chronological list of stocks making new highs based on the time period, I've got this one in a very non-standard way. I'm sorting it on the count, and that really is how many times has that new high made a new, or how many times has that stock made a new high. So in this particular stock right here, SYTA, I mean, it's definitely leading the pack right here, and it's made a new high 494 times. You know, certainly that was made with some pullbacks there as well. But if I just scroll, you know, and kind of zoom in and take a look at a more defined, you know, look at the day, this is essentially what happened today in this particular stock, giving you that, you know, that flavor of it. So a really interesting way to look at the data. So you're not just looking at each new high that's scrolling by, but you're really ranking them and ranking them based on how many times they've done that. So we talked a little bit about the alpha predator. I also like looking at stocks that are really making extraordinary ranges for the day. That's the distance between their low and their high, and comparing that to normal. It's really one of the great data points that we have. It's today's range percentage. So if I'm looking at this stock right here, and it did a range of 685%, well, that's 6 times normal. And so if you look at it on the daily chart, essentially what it's telling you is this daily bar right here is 6 times the normal daily bar going back on an average. So that's a pretty significant data point. Another really good data point that we have, and we've got it incorporated in a variety of different windows, and that's the relative volume data point. When you're trading, volume is key. It's really important that you're trading something with volume. If there's no volume in it, it's really oftentimes a really bad experience unless you're up big in the trade, because getting out can be really impactful to it, and every tick is, you know, it's pretty extraordinary. So I like trading things with volume. This relative volume is just giving me a ratio value, letting me know how is this volume right now at this moment in time, and it's after hours, so it's not as important, but at this moment in time, well, this actually happened at the close, and it compares it to normal. So a value of 9 is telling me that this stock is trading 9 times its normal volume. And when you look at it up here on the single stock window, we've got that relative volume highlighted here up at the top. So normally this thing is doing like 7 million shares a day. Well, today it did 75 million shares. So that's significant. And with that kind of volume, there's incredible price action that goes with that, both to the long and the short side. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a bullish move, but there's action. And so that's an important data point to follow there as well. Position, I'm just kind of giving you a little, I'm just kind of talking. I'm not really going through a script right here. I just kind of want to show you some of these things that are important if you're using our software. This position and range indicator, it's a graphical indicator, but it's also a numerical indicator. This is letting me know, well, visually at this point, where is that stock trading in relationship to its intraday high and low? So this guy right here is trading on the high of the day. So you bring it up, and this is really at the close. You can see my time. It's not giving me that post-market, but that's my choice. I could come in here and I could select time frame, and I could say live always and not just during the market hours. So that's just another customized aspect of the software right here. But this value here, I mean, this indicator, it's also, well, every one of these columns is also a filter. So if I only wanted to see stocks in a certain range of their day, I could apply that filter to it. And it's super easy to do in the software. If I just go to search and I type position in range, and you can just type a little bit of it, select it right there, and you can add the filter. You can show the column, which it's already showing. But here I can add the filter, and let's say I only want to see stocks in the upper 25% of their day range right now. Well, that's what this is going to show me. And yeah, and so this guy right here is only going to give me that upper echelon of stocks that are at that up end of the range. You could create a maximum as well if you wanted to. Maybe you only want to see stocks in the lower 10%. Well, you put a 10 right here and you put nothing in the min. So just kind of use a little logic. And if you're not sure what to do here, you can always click on this magnifying glass and it'll tell you what's going on in words. It'll give you a histogram. Essentially what this is telling you is that I have 1,230 stocks that meet this criteria of being in the upper 25% of the day range. You've got a chart here, you know, what's it look like to be in the upper 25% of the range? And that's these guys right here. So you can change these and see how it reflects the little educational tool that we've got here. And then you've got your examples and all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of great information that could be found in this hourglass if you're not sure what it does. And another thing, if you don't know what that position in range really does, you can go ahead and you do it from search right here, highlight the filter and just select help. It'll go ahead and spawn the browser. Let me bring it over here and it'll take you right to that filter. It's right at the top here, the position and range, and you can read all about it. This is kind of a crazy page that has access to all of our alerts and filters through these hyperlinks up at the top. So if you find an alert, which are these white background icons, or you find a filter, which are these cyan background icons, you can just select it and it'll take you right to that, that help spot for you. So volume radar, you know, we do, I was talking a little bit about the relative volume, but in this volume radar right here, we really slice and dice volume in a variety of different ways. So we've got total volume, that's standard stuff, relative volume, but we're also breaking it down into the 5-minute and 30-minute. So we know it's normal for every single stock, whether it's price action or volume on all different time frames. We keep those statistical baselines. So when something strange happens, we're in a perfect position to be able to deliver you that information as to telling you that something's interesting is going on with that stock. One thing I want to point out with this alpha predator window here, and you can incorporate it in any of the windows, I've also got my earnings date column. So this is letting me know when the earnings are going to be. This is going to be tomorrow right here. And so when you select that, that's going to be tomorrow in the morning. So if you bring it up, and this is a new feature I was going to talk about, we're highlighting the information here on the chart to let you know if it's within the week of that earnings. So if you're going to be holding something overnight, it's really important to know if there's going to be earnings so that you're not shocked and at least you're prepared. You know, if you want to hold into earnings, that's great, but you should at least know that it's happening. And then one thing we'll be adding is we'll be adding some historical perspective on the daily chart. So if in fact it happened a few days ago, you're going to see an icon letting you know that earnings happened on a particular date in a historical fashion on that daily. The single stock window, that's this guy over here on the middle right. This is a pretty powerful window. It's really customizable, so you can go ahead and incorporate really any filter that we have in the software. You can display that data point right here. So, you know, whether it's earnings or EPS or anything, you can go ahead and add that. Right click, configure, set it up in the same way that you would set up any of the other windows. So this is giving you that bird's eye view of the data that's in the software. For that particular security. We've also got news, so you could go ahead and peruse, you know, the news stories on that security. We've got profile. If you hit that plus right here, you can see exactly what sector, subsector, industry group, industry, and sub-industry it falls within. But if you collapse that, then you can get a nice description as to what that company does, and then you've got an accessible hyperlink right here that's going to take you right to that site where you could, if you know Chinese, you could read that. So that's it's a super powerful window. This last tab right here is our similar tab, and this is letting me know based upon the sector and subsector and industry group. Really, it prioritizes the industry group. What stocks compete with it. So, you could basically bring up any stock in our software right here, and it'll go ahead and populate the single stock window with the similar stocks that compete with it. We've also got another mode, another way to look at it, and that's price action. So it takes a look at, this particular stock and sees if it can find something similar in nature. And it looks like there's a little too much price action for it to find something in this one, but if you pull something up, there's a good chance that you're going to find a similar stock for it, or not. Well, I guess so. Juniper and this one looks like it's together in the price action. I personally always keep it on competitors. I like knowing what stocks are sympathy plays. Maybe they haven't moved quite yet. Maybe they got a little ahead of themselves, and you can find that right here. There's also a neat little piece of functionality here where you can pop this out and turn that right into a top list window that you could go ahead, and if you wanted to, you could just pin it. That means it won't disappear when you change channels, and you can just move it over to another portion of your monitor. Just different ways to use the software. Maybe it's a great industry for the day. Maybe something's happening on a lot of different stocks. You can just pop that up and move it to the side. One of my favorite windows inside of Trade Ideas is the price alert. I use this thing all the time. This is really kind of like my bread and butter, whether I'm using it with the AI or using it with different signals that just come up in my various windows. This allows me to set up notification. So if I'm selecting something that triggered here, and as it comes up, it's going to show me where that notification triggered, right? So I had this guy here set at this price point, and it looks like in the post market, it was able to hit that price. So big move in this stock here. There's still a big gap to fill. Not saying that that's something you want to buy, but to me, it kind of hits my radar and something that I like looking at. The price alert, if I wanted to set something, let me do something like, let me just find another symbol that I might want to look at. And so something like this right here, it's kind of in a choppy zone. It had a big day yesterday, but it closed really weak. This is something that I'm not really interested in. However, if this thing gets above 1050 or 1047, I can change that price. I could put a note in here. I typically don't because it's pretty streamlined the way I use it, but you can put a note there and that'll come up and help refresh your memory when the alert triggers. So now I save it, and what it's going to do is it's going to put that line right there on my chart. So when that moves, and it doesn't matter whether it's pre-market, post-market, during the market, I could be looking at something else. When that thing triggers, it's going to pop up. It's going to give me an audible notification because that's the way that I have it set. Under actions here, you can have it set up to give you a sound. You can customize it, or you can have it set up to do text to speech, which is what I do. And so when something triggers right here, all the time I'm hearing SONM or something like that. And that just reminds me that there's something that happened in that stock. To take a look at it, depending upon how the broader market's doing, how I'm feeling, what I want to do from a perspective of the market, then I may do something, I may not. But it's giving me that continual feedback based upon symbols that I'm interested in, and I want to know when something happens. I think my eye is pretty good, and I've been doing this for quite some time. I'm not a great trader, but I do find some really good possibilities now and again, and I think the price alert is one of the best ways that helps me find these great opportunities. Another component of the software, Brokerage Plus, this allows you to trade either in simulated mode to get a feel for the software, get a feel for your trading, your sizing. You can also link it up directly with your interactive brokers or your E-Trade account and trade directly right from the software right here. I simulate a couple accounts. Once you have a simulated account, you could make a couple different simulated accounts and break it up however you want. If I wanted to trade in the 401k, I could go to that and I could trade here. If I wanted to trade in my simulated, I could trade here. In my Merrill account, I could trade here. So even though this isn't something that we have integration with Merrill or integration with a 401k provider, you can always manually enter your orders in and watch the real-time P&L of that in the software. But it's got a great simulation mode. This is, like I said, will allow you to really use all this functionality without risking any of your own capital. When you feel comfortable, then you could always, turn it on. But this is just another way to help you without really risking your capital and how to better understand the software. So let me talk about a couple of things. Yeah, I can share my layout, Gilbert. Let me do that. This is, I'm just going to share this one doc right here. And so I'm going to save or share to cloud. Custom monitor layout 1, it already knows which component windows are in that particular doc. So as I scroll down, you're going to see these are my other windows, but all these guys are in that doc. So I'll go ahead and save it. I should have done save and share. Now I have to come back up here and go load from cloud. Here's my custom layout monitor 1. I'll hit share. It's going to give me a cloud link right here, and I can just copy it. And now I'm going to just pop it in the chat room here. All right, guys, so you should be able to just grab that, and once you grab that link, all you need to do is go up to File, Load from Cloud. If you've got that link in your clipboard, it's going to automatically populate it right here at the bottom. Once there's something in that field, just hit Load, and it'll go ahead and load it up for you. Now, one thing to keep in mind, these price alerts, these are all mine. They don't, they don't get shared with the layout. This is something that you can always share through a different type of cloud link in the software, but it's not incorporated in the layout itself. So a couple of things. I want to talk about some of the new features that you're going to find in the latest beta. The biggest thing, and it's not really specific to the latest beta, but it's our user guide. Like we've been doing this for, like I said, 19 years, and I think we stopped doing our user guide about 10 years ago because we were developing so fast and we were adding new functionality that it became impossible without hiring someone specific to do the user guide to keep up with everything. So we opted to do videos, but this is an incredible addition to our arsenal here to better understand trade ideas. So like I said, we have a great YouTube page. It's all broken down into different sections, whether it's education or webinars and such. But this guy right here really breaks down and describes all the different components of trade ideas and how to use it all. So it's a very comprehensive resource that will definitely help you. So you can launch that right here from the help on the toolbar, and it would be the user guide. So please, everybody, make yourself aware of that. We also have this latest piece of functionality called linking groups. So let me show you something. I'm going to open up a new chart, and I'm going to open up a new top list window. All right, so I'm just move it over here. Let's turn this into like a 5-minute time frame. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and show you the functionality for our symbol linking groups. And so we've got this new line item here, symbol linking. I'm going to go ahead and turn this one gold. I'm going to go ahead and turn this one right here make that gold. So now I've established a linking group just between these two windows right here. And so when I go ahead and select something, it's just going to go ahead and group it with this particular window. Now I could have this in a doc. I could have it just free floating like I have it right here. But that way you can have certain windows tied to each other and not everything is going to update. If you're working within a doc, you can do it right up here from this doc menu right here, where you left click on that and you go symbol linking groups. And here you can really set up an entire doc very, very easily right here. So this is all set up in the purple fashion, and you do it just by selecting everything, selecting your color, and then you set all to the selected. And you can see this icon in the upper left-hand corner changes appropriately to let you know that these are all linked together. Now my spiders in the upper right-hand corner, kind of my leading indicator here, I've got it set as a gray. So if we go to properties, symbol linking, I think I just unchecked link to all. I'm not sure how I got that to gray, but I think you just turn off the symbol linking and you're good there. And so that becomes its own window that will not update accordingly. Another thing, I did do a little bit of a demo on this piece of functionality a couple weeks back before our test drive, but I don't believe it was in the beta or in the software. If you go to tools right here, you can get to your symbol linking groups here as well. But we've also got the formula editor. Essentially what we did is we brought it from the web. We've always had the formula editor where you can go in and you can modify and create custom filters that, you know, within the software. You can't do everything, but you can take what's available and manipulate it mathematically, and it can give you an incredible bevy of new filters and new data points from which you can look at. But essentially here, this particular formula editor can be done within the software right now. If you hit this help button, you probably always want to have that up when you're doing it. And then you can just show all on both of them. Make this a little bigger. But this shows you all the different data points that you can manipulate. So if you wanted to take VWAP2 and subtract it from VWAP1, all you would do is you take this code right here, this bracket VWAP2, and you do minus, and you do this bracket VWAP1. So these are just giving you the variables from which you can manipulate mathematically. And I've got a bunch just to see what you can do with them. You know, if you wanted to see the 52-week high in dollars, you can do that. How many seconds after the open did that alert trigger? Where in the spread was it? You know, so all these different little data points I created using this custom formula editor. If it's your first time, I don't know, if it's your first time, you may want to go to our website here. You may want to go to support. And if you go to account management, we've got this custom formulas down at the bottom, and I would only recommend going here to grab this help file, because the help file does give you a little bit more information. It's just a few pages, what is it, 9 pages, and it just talks about different ways that you can use this formula editor. And the last portion of it is really just giving you the same data points that we had here in this help. But you've got all this stuff here. So I recommend maybe the first time going there, but once you understand what you can do with this particular piece of functionality, you can end up doing it right from the software here. And then chart color customization. I mean, you probably already have seen that here. If I go new chart, and so this comes out with our standard look and feel of our chart. But if I right click and I go to select background color, you can now customize it, all the different components of it, whether it's the background color, whether it's adding a gradient color to it, your labels, your x-axis and your y-axis labels, the candle colors, the body, the outline, the watermark, and you can, you know, control all of that with that. Once you've done that and set it up the way that you want, you can right click on it and select save as default, and that'll save all of that information for you. It'll save the time frame as your default. If you have any indicators that are on that chart, it'll save those as the default, so that next time you launch a new chart from the menu here, it'll launch it the way that you have specified. So that's a pretty big enhancement. We're going to be doing a lot more with the charting. We're going to be we're really focused on performance right now after the background color. We want to make these charts a little bit snappier. We also have a great project in place that's going to make our data more lively, if you will. You know, everything in the software is real time, whether you're looking at alerts and such, but if you're looking at like update speed, we're going to be increasing that update speed for the charting and for Brokerage Plus and the top list and all that good stuff. So there's a lot of great performance enhancements that's going to be going into the product. But after we feel like we've got a great handle on that, we're going to be adding some different chart types: line chart, area chart, bar chart, open, high, low, close chart. So we've got all these different ways to visualize the chart, an area chart. I don't know if I mentioned that, but some nice enhancements to the charting component as well. So we're looking forward to that. And then the final thing that I want to talk about with respect to new features is our Market Explorer. And you would get to that from the new right here in the Market Explorer. This is going to be a window that's going to be growing from a perspective of new additional strategies. Like everything, you right click in the window to tell it what you want it to do. So the first thing is the server window. You have to tell it what strategy you want to look at. Now in our user guide, I've got all these strategies defined out. So if you want to know what the 80-20 cross on gappers, go to that user guide, look for Market Explorer, and you can read a detail on each one of these different strategies. And like I said, we're going to be adding a bunch more here. These are the thing that's really great about the Market Explorer is we can craft and create strategies that we're unable to do inside of TI Pro. Like with TI Pro, we're limited to the finite list of alerts and filters that we have available. And albeit we've got a ton of them, we've got over a couple hundred different filters and 100 different alerts, and you can do a tremendous amount of stuff with that. But for instance, we look at the 8-period SMA, we look at the 20-period SMA. Maybe you wanted to, and we don't look at EMAs. Maybe you wanted to look at the 13-period EMA or some really random numerical calculation. Well, we can do all of that with the Market Explorer. The only caveat is it's something that we have to do at this point where we have to code it. I don't want to say it's a simple coding, but it's relatively easy for us to enhance and modify these strategies. And then once we do that, they're automatically pushed out to you guys where you can just select what you want to look at, and you'll have that data here in the window. And just like everything, you can set the linking. It'll go ahead and sync up with the charts and such. So you can really control the experience here. And so this is something that we'll be adding to as time goes on. So David, I think you're asking about these indicators here in the upper portion of the application toolbar. No, you cannot. There are just 3 fixed indicators, leading indicators that we're looking at here. You can select them and update, but you can't really change those. What you can do is you can always go to, like I think I have a dock channel bar here. If I go to sector status or something like that, I can always have, maybe you can grab a window from here, or you can create your own where you're looking at just a small group of stocks. One thing, we look at the universe of stocks, but we can also refine our view into just a select number of stocks. So if you wanted to create, say, a symbol list with just a couple indices in it, you could have a top list with just focused on those particular indices. So I don't know, Gary, if the Market Explorer has made it, but just do this. Just do a Control F. So you're searching on that web page and type Market Explorer. That'll get you right to where you need to go. I think I tried that earlier. So if you go to User Guide right here, go down, Control F, and type Market. Meeting has covered it up. Market Explorer, not there. Where is it? Okay, that's great. I was just there. Send me an email, Gary. That's Brad@trade-ideas. I'll find out where that is. Eventually, what we're going to have, it should have been here already, but let me show you where it's going to be. Eventually, you're just going to go ahead and click here in this E icon, or it'll be a help menu item here. So it'll be there, but for right now, just shoot me an email and I'll get it for you, or anybody that wants it. All right, so that's kind of the new features in the beta. Some of the things that we're working on, this performance monitor right here. So, like I said, performance is a big consideration of ours right now. Since we've added all this functionality, we want to make sure that it's snappy as it ever was. And sometimes when people start adding windows and pinning windows and putting a bunch in a dock, their system might get overwhelmed. So we're coming up with an easy way to identify that. When I have too many windows open, this is going to turn yellow, or to let me know I'm getting close to reaching my maximum threshold. When I've really got a performance problem based on the number of windows and what I'm looking at, it's going to turn red. So it's going to really give me some nice feedback as to the performance of my software here. We're also working on some push messaging. So if there was something wrong somewhere in a data feed, or there was some incorrect price on something, we're able to send a message out to you. If you need to complete or to validate your exchange agreements after a year, we can push a message out to you. So that's something that's going to be coming in the very near future. We're also working on something, I'm not going to show you any visuals on it until we're a little bit closer, but the real-time stock race. So you're able to take a top list window and turn it into something that's going to animate for you and turn it into a race where these different stocks are competing each other on various time frames, on various data points. So that's going to be pretty interesting. We're excited about that. And then I already mentioned some of the performance enhancements that we're going to be doing from getting our data a little snappier. So guys, I've ran through my kind of agenda today. I'm going to take a look over here at the questions, and if there's something that I missed, or if you guys have a question, I'm more than happy to take that from you. But while you're doing that, I will move back to the slide deck and talk a little bit about our promotion that we're running right now. We just completed a 2-week test drive. We do this every couple months, where for a very small amount, I think it's $11.11, we allow you guys to, or anybody, to test drive our software, the full premium product that has the AI, the back testing, all these different features that I showed you today. We allow them to test drive it for 2 weeks, and we do a lot of education in the process. So as a result of just completing that, we were offering 25% off either 1 month or 1 year of trade ideas, and you can use that code right there, test drive 25. All right, let's move on. We're a software as a subscription service here. We charge by the month or the year, if that's how you want to pay. We've broken it down by the day here, so it's really about the price of a cup of coffee or a sandwich. If you're serious about trading, these prices should not be an impediment for you. And Holly Rocks, I don't think you're going to want to use that particular promo code. Use the other one. You get a little bit more of a discount. We do daily support sessions in addition to our trading room, which I guess is the next slide. So let me not get ahead of myself, but we do daily support sessions from 12 to 1 Eastern time, or from 9 to 10 Pacific time. And you can get there through that link right there. It's a shared YouTube experience and very interactive. Our trading room, this is something that I highly recommend everybody take a look at. Barry was in the room here today helping out with the questions for the webinar, but he's moderating this room all day long. So I highly recommend it. There's a lot of interesting banter going back and forth. Great stock calls are being made, and he's showing, his software throughout the day and how to use certain bits of functionality in it. So I do recommend that. We're pretty easy to reach. We're on social media. You can reach us on Twitter at Trade Ideas, at QuantBot, at TISteveG, at CVarley1734. Those are some of our handles. You can like us on Facebook. And that's our phone number. The best way to get a hold of us is from our website, either through the live chat that we have there during the market hours, or through email, info@trade-ideas.com. All right, I think I'm done. Scott, did I miss anything?
I think you got it. Thanks, everyone. The recording will be available later on tonight or tomorrow. So keep an eye out for an update on that. Thanks. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.